I'd like to thank everyone for their patience and for coming on out for our press conference. Today we're going to talk about our 2015 annual report. We have some new sections in our annual report with some information that we really want to focus on. It's important that the community not only know the crime data, but some of the other things that we are doing to help better address the crime and solving crime in our communities. So with that said, we have about 30 minutes set aside for this press conference. So we're going to try to run through it quickly and still try to answer your questions. Some people will stay later if you have questions that may be off topic or more in depth than what we have to present, okay? And with that said, we're going to bring up Chief Cameron McLay, and he's going to get us started.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you all for coming. You know, a lot's been said of late nationally as well as locally about the crisis in American policing, and talk about the crisis of confidence that it is. But at the end of the day, the challenges before we police leaders is really fairly simple. What we do, our objective here in the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police is to really try to hone in and try to really improve two things. It's first, trying to enhance our performance outcomes. In other words, be able to show we're just really good at our jobs. I mean, we exist to make this community safe and to make people try to reduce crime, fear, and disorder. And so we try to hold ourselves accountable to getting really good at our jobs. And then the other half of that is enhancing our accountability, measuring what we do, to measuring our outcomes to see if we're actually doing what we set out to do, and holding ourselves accountable in terms of performance. And so that's really where one of the things that we also want to talk about with respect, not just the annual report, but also to roll out the Police Bureau's new vision, mission, and values, core values statement. So as we're talking about improving the policing profession, what we're talking about is holding ourselves accountable to far higher standards of conduct than just the low bar of whether or not we broke the law or whether or not we violated our own policies. We try to hold ourselves to the highest standards of ethical conduct. And so if we could cue up the vision statement. The statements you're about to see were developed by members throughout this police bureau. The reason it took so long is I wanted everyone to buy in. I wanted everyone to participate in the creation of it. So a vision statement is who we are and where we want to be someday. So our vision statement is simply through our commitment to professional service to all, the Bureau of Police is a source of pride for our community, a benchmark for policing excellence. So this is the target. We're trying to become a benchmark that others will compare themselves to. So that's our goal. I found that as I look at this organization, as I look at this community, pride is the value that just jumps out at me as someone from outside of this community. The mission statement is a statement about who we are and what we exist to do. And our new mission statement is simply this: we, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, stand ready to protect human life, to serve without reservation or favor, to stand as partners with all, helping our communities live free from fear. What's important there are some of the values you see jumping out. Most importantly, the predominant nature of our role to preserve human life at all costs. So this is who we are and this is what we exist to do. And so when we talk about looking at what we do and to what we hold ourselves accountable, this is it. This is the goal we're striving for. Our core values, which you will see next, are the byproduct, again, of input from throughout the Bureau. And it was very important that we identify core values that resonated with the members here. And I think that we were very successful in that. And so our mission, vision, and core values, these are the high standards of ethical conduct we as police endeavor to hold ourselves to. And so when we talk about accountability, that is our goal. And the shared values really are key. But the truth of the matter is that these words, our vision, mission, and values, are personified by the men and women of this police bureau every day. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. This is a way better police department than our critics realize. And I'm very, very proud of the accomplishments of this organization, so I didn't want to roll out a statistical report without telling you the human story behind some of the statistics. For example, the core value of courage is shown by my detectives who help investigate and track and apprehend dangerous armed criminals. Let me give you an example. Detectives Justin Simone, Charles Higgins, and Jedediah Pollock were conducting an investigation of a heroin overdose death. As a result of their investigation, there was a seizure of hundreds of bags of potentially lethal drugs, seizure of multiple firearms, and a large amount of U.S. currency. But this investigation took us to a higher level of professionalism. The investigation led to the arrest of 3 narcotics dealers who were ultimately successfully charged with the loss of human life as a result of their selling of narcotics in this region. So this is an excellent example of us trying to hold ourselves and our performance standards to a new and a higher standard. And this is not an isolated case. My officers regularly put their lives on the line to make our streets safer and to help our communities live a little bit more free from fear. But as you see, compassion is also one of our core values, and it's one that I really see manifest in my employees. You know, for example, Three of my officers from the east side work in a night shift. Officer Rick Cirillis, Harrison Maddox, and Aaron Absenica, they worked a very, very busy night shift. So what did they do the next morning after a busy night shift? On their own time, of their own volition, they joined in a peace march and marched with community members as a show of solidarity to highlight the fact that we stand as partners with all. So these are just a couple of examples of where our values are manifested by the members of this police bureau. And our efforts to try to make sure that this bureau is in fact a benchmark of excellence for all. And these are the kind of human stories that lie beneath the statistical data you're going to find in the annual report. So at this point, these are my comments with respect to the mission and values. Couple of key things I want to highlight before I turn the mic over to somebody else. Now, we were selected as one of the pilot sites for President Obama's national initiative for building community trust and justice. And you'll recall that initiative is really predicated on looking at the concepts of understanding unconscious or implicit bias, understanding procedural justice, and with the goal towards building stronger partnerships within our communities of color and our police. There has been a great deal done towards those lines during the course of the preceding year and a half. The efforts in developing that training really began in 2015. It continues this year and will continue till early 2017. So that's going extremely well, and as a little farther down track, I'll say more about that. But at this point, I'll cut my comments short, and we'll talk about some of our community policing efforts.
I'll start and let Jason get into it real quick. Thanks for coming to police headquarters and being a part of this. One of the best things about our job is the ability to get out there, meet people, and make a difference in the lives of everybody on a day-to-day basis. That's why the officers get involved with law enforcement, is to make that difference. And community policing, it's not just a concept. It's not a program. It's something that we believe in. It's something that our officers believe in. And being a part of the community, partnering with the community, it's a win for everybody. It's a win for the neighborhoods. It's a win for the officers, because if you look at it, at the end of the day, we all have the same goal in mind, and that's to have a community that's safe and free. And the work that the officers do on a day-to-day basis is incredible out there. And it's not new. It's something we've done for a long time. One thing that we have been able to do is do a better job of promoting what we do through social media. And we started that last year. I don't even think we had a policy for social media at the time, but putting it out there on Facebook and Twitter so people see what the officers are doing and building that relationship. And it's incredible, and Jason will tell some of the stories that he has seen firsthand. But you look at some of these videos, for example, of an officer at Zone 3 who bought lunch for a person down in the South Side. And, things that chess, Officer Schifrin in Zone 4 down in Hazelwood, teaching kids how to play chess. So it's something that's going on all over the city. Every zone is just, it's incredible. I'm, as a member of the command staff, to see it and see what's going on and see what's going on Facebook and Twitter, all the great work that these officers are doing on a day-to-day basis. It really warms the heart to see. And so it's something we're going to continue to do, because it's not a program, it's not a concept, it's something that we believe in and something that we're going to keep doing to make Pittsburgh the great community and the great city that it is. And I'll let Jason tell some of the stories that he's aware of.
Thanks, Chief. In 2015 and continuing, right through to today, our officers have been engaged in community outreach efforts, really like we've never been engaged before. On the north side, they routinely have a lemonade with the cops, where the officers go and they'll do a lemonade stand. Most of the zones have a coffee with the cops, where folks from the community can just come in, sit with a police officer, and just talk about whatever they want. Just kind of get to know the officers on a personal level. One thing that we realized is extremely important, and something that we had kind of been neglecting for a while, was our youth engagement. So now, more than ever, our officers are involved with the lives of the youth, because we realize that period, that teenage years, that's when a lot of the kids out in the community, they're going to form their opinions of the police one way or another, and that can really affect how they deal with our officers in the future. So we've been making a very concerted effort to get out there and really and talk to the kids. If there's kids out there that have issues with the police, we want to know about that. So we've started doing small group meetings, where we just take some officers, they kind of just wear street clothes, take some pizzas, and we'll go and we'll sit down with the youth, and we'll just ask them, what's on your mind? What concerns you about police and citizen encounters? We've had some very good conversations with a lot of these kids, and some of the kids, they start off very apprehensive to even speak to the police, and after 2 hours of just getting to know our officers, a lot of them actually end up joining our community groups and really wanting to play an active role in helping us engage with other youth in the community. So it's been amazing to see. Like Chief Schubert was saying, there's just things going on in every neighborhood that really, as a member of the command staff, but also as a citizen, it's fantastic to see that relationship building. And I'll just leave you with one story. The other day, a group of officers were over in the East Liberty Gardens, and there were some kids, they were just kind of pushing each other around in a shopping cart. And the officer said, hey, don't you guys have anything else to play with? And the kids said, no, we don't have any toys, we don't have any balls. So the officers went to Target. They bought a bunch of Nerf balls, soccer balls, and they came back to the gardens. And as we were coming in, people were looking at a stream of police cars coming in, and you can tell there were some people that were a little bit apprehensive. What's going on? All these police cars are pulling in. And so imagine the look of surprise on their face when all the officers pull in and start unloading soccer balls and kickballs and just start playing with the kids. It just really, it totally turned the attitude of everyone there that day, and they were so appreciative of the police. And it's just important to note that kind of stuff is going on right now in every neighborhood of the city. And we just realized that we just need to do a better job of getting it out there and making sure people know about it. So, thank you.
Real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't throw this out there. With the Citizens Police Academy that we have, 15-week program where members of the community can come, and we move them around so people have access. We put them on bus routes, and we want people to come out, and it gives you 15 weeks of understanding who the police are, what we do, why we do it, and it really helps build that relationship between us and the community. And something that was started last year under Chief McClay was the Students Police Academy, and getting children in school to go through it, because that's really where we need to build with the youth engagement. So there's a lot going on, and we're really excited about the great work the officers are doing.
Great, thank you, Chief. Like I said in my introduction, though, it's not good enough that we be nice. Okay, it's not good enough that we have relationships with people. It's also important that we actually be very, very good at our job. So next, I'd like to, one of the big things we did in the 2015, and is of course continuing now, is continuing to examine how we intervene in violence, how we conduct the investigations of violent crime. So with that, I'll introduce Assistant Chief Stan Grecki, who will talk a little bit about our investigative processes. So, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. One of our main focuses has always been addressing violent crime in the city of Pittsburgh. And by doing that, to hold those accountable for violent crime and reduce homicide, shootings, and group violence that occurs. In 2015, there was a number of structural or organizational changes that took place. One was to combine the homicide unit with the robbery unit to make sure that the homicide unit was sufficiently staffed, and to provide them with the manpower and resources to work homicides and violent crime full-time so that we can take those violent offenders off the street. Part of that reorganization also entailed the formation of the Group Violence Intervention Unit. And the focus of that group was to investigate all non-fatal shootings, which traditionally the homicide unit investigated before, in addition to homicides, overdoses, suicides, and other death investigations. So now we have a full-time unit focused on non-fatal shootings, which sometimes leads to our homicides. They also investigated home invasion, robberies with that group intervention nexus to it. So we do have our crimes against persons staffed fully, and we are working to investigate every shooting, homicide, or violent crime with a number of resources. The groups regularly reach out to our intelligence unit for information, our narcotics unit for assistance in looking at some of the suspects who may be committing other crimes, such as narcotics dealing, and which plagues our neighborhood. So we really have a good working model. We're hoping to build upon that and from here on in. So,
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And certainly, as we start talking into 2016, there's a lot more that's going to be going on. In the coming week or two at the outside, we'll be presenting and do another press conference on violent crime in 2016, looking at year-to-date. And we'll go into much greater depth with some of the things Chief Stan Grecki started to introduce in terms of our group violence intervention model. Critical to us being effective at doing our job is enhancing our analytic capacity. So next, I'd like to invite up Sergeant Barry Budd, who's from my crime analysis unit, and start talking about some of the innovations in 2015, trying to help enhance our capacity to both support the investigations and help prevent future victimization. So, Sergeant.
Chief, I appreciate it. Good morning. My name is Barry Budd. Like the Chief said, I'm a sergeant. I'm assigned to a criminal intelligence unit. The Criminal Intelligence Unit provides a bureau with information analysis to assist in all facets of planning, operations, and information. And within the Intelligence Unit is a very, very unique squad known as the Criminal Analysis Squad. Up until 2015, at the Chief's direction, we added some civilian capacity to that. And that has not only been outstanding in the increase in capacity for personnel to get things done, but it's brought such a great eclectic background. Their experience, their expertise, and their education is phenomenal. So it allows us to think very, very broad, very wide spectrum, not just in policing and traditional ways to solve problems, but gives us a really, really, really unique capacity to problem solve exponentially and into the future. So as that capacity grows, so does the skill level grow, and so does the need. The better you get at something, the more people want and ask of you. Good evidence of that is last year our request for information internally was nearly 3,000 requests. And the predominant amount of those come from investigators, the GVI, like the chiefs have spoke about, the command staff, and working with the community. So sometimes those things are directly from the community, for the community, through the command staff, through the commanders within the zones, and sometimes special projects for those persons directly related to them. Also with our business partners and our educational partners. So it sort of brings us full circle to that increase in capacity. Started off with personnel. The next phase of that was some additional technology, which we've gained, some additional GIS sort of mapping skills, and the ability not only to have those mapping skills to put out better products and more useful products in a timely fashion, but also analytics built into those products. So it's been a very, very good increased capacity in that sense as well. Speaking of crime analysis and the intelligence work that we do. We also have been able to broaden our horizons with the National Model of Intelligence-Led Policing, which is a best example of that is a national initiative and the GVI. Those are two great, programs that use intelligence-led policing. So it's very targeted, very narrow investigations based on a very, very in-depth background information, intelligence, both current, looking forward, looking back, associations, tying groups and organizations together that we never had the ability, time to look at before. So again, with that group and that new amount of personnel and those new things going forward, it's given us a great, great tool and an asset for the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and the city ultimately. It also has increased our capacity internally to open that up to other programs within the Bureau. We have 2 separate programs that are specifically for officers and detectives throughout the entire Bureau of Police, which is something very, very new and very broad, and the information share has been exceptional, and we've been glad to have our part in leading that intelligence-led cycle there with the collection side of it and the analysis, and then disseminate that information back out. So what that brings us to today as well is the capacity to put out the annual report and do it entirely within the intelligence unit, but specifically by the criminal analysis. Up until 2015, there was 3 detectives, one who focused on sort of the tradecraft of pure criminal intelligence work, and 2 that did criminal statistics. Now there are, the addition in the fall of 2015 was for 2 civilian crime analysts, 1 crime analyst supervisor, and a data-driven policing manager. So the addition of those personnel has been fantastic, but the synergistic effect within the existing detectives has been phenomenal. We certainly get way more work done than I can believe sometimes by the amount of people there and that teamwork that pulls it all together. So our latest product, as the chief is announcing today, is going to be the annual product, or the annual report, and again, the analysts and detectives that worked on that did an outstanding job. Can't say enough about good things they did. Some of them, as a matter of fact, were handed that product about a week into the job, and took it on with a big smile and no problem. And a month later, we're realizing what a monumental task that was, and they did an outstanding job overcoming it with some time and the ability and the knowledge to reach out and ask for help. That's all I have for criminal analysis. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Sergeant. No, and there's so much more we can and will talk about in the future as we talk about 2016 and beyond, and where enhanced analytics will take us. Mayor Peduto hired me just coming up on 2 years ago now to institutionalize data-driven, community-oriented policing. As you're hearing, there's a lot of community policing going on. We already had a lot of capacity to use data, and that's only getting better. I was hired to help build the relationships between the police and the communities we serve. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy with those relationships. It ain't perfect. There's a lot going on, both here locally and nationally. But the thing that's most important to me is there's a lot of really great things happening in Pittsburgh, and sometimes we as a community don't give ourselves the pat on the back we all deserve. So there's been a lot of really good things happening here, and moving forward, I intend to simply continue the good work that my team is already doing. So with that, I will stop my comments and ask for any questions that you might have.
I have a question. You mentioned the narcotics case where I think the charge led to, I think it's a federal case, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Who were the defendants in that case?
I'm sorry, say that
Who were
again?
the defendants in that case?
I'm sorry, I don't have that immediately in front of me right now. Any other questions?
Chief,
Sir.
wondering if you would address still, there appears to be, when you talk to some of the rank and file, there still appears to be some type of morale issue.
Absolutely.
Would you address that? I mean, is that a concern to you?
Totally, absolutely. It's a huge concern of mine. The officers nationwide are feeling desperately under the gun. I think I've mentioned before, my daughter's a police officer back in Wisconsin, where I come from. She's a community officer. She knows the people in her neighborhood. They help keep her safe while she does her job, and she's scared. People are targeting police specifically, so it has officers with good cause to be concerned about their backs. You add to that the social media effects and a lot of the national dialogue, on police accountability, and officers are wondering if they're safe in the context of doing their job, and most importantly, not feeling that their efforts are recognized. So part of my effort here today is to make sure that for a change, we actually do a good job showcasing the fact they're doing a lot of really good work here in Pittsburgh. Now, there are all kinds of complicating factors driving the morale thing, including contracts, including a new chief from out of town, the first one ever in 157 years, and what's this all about, and that getting to know you process, coming to understand that accountability doesn't mean trying to fire people. So there are growing pains, and that's always the case in organizational transformation. I believe with the strong leadership team that I have, the good officers that I have doing the good work that they're doing, and if I can do a better job of getting out and celebrating some of the good work they do, I think I'll be able to bring morale back up where it belongs at the end of the day. Of course, there's still some variables I can't control, but at the same time, what really impresses me about the Pittsburgh the Bureau of Police officers is that while we talk about morale being bad, and we talk about being upset and angry, okay, I'm here to tell you I've seen officers when they're frustrated, upset, and angry. They treat the public poorly. You typically have escalation in complaints. You have escalations in use of force. You have escalations in lawsuits, and I'm not seeing any of that. So somehow my men and women are able to find a box to put their frustrations in, and they come to work and they do a great job every day. It feels like sometimes we just don't do as good a job sharing that story as we could. So thank you for that. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap it. Again, I intend to roll out the violent crime report within the next 2 weeks at the outside, and in the context of that report, we'll drill down deeper into the violent crime trends, and we'll also talk more in detail about our group violence intervention model that we're using to intervene in that. So again, thank you so much for coming.